So first of all, thanks to Niharika, Shivashish, and I'm glad to be here. It's a nice event. So usually I walk a lot while giving a talk, but the pointer is not working with my laptop, so I'll try to be here. Okay. So I was not very sure what should be the talk about. This is the first time I'm attending ARCS. So I was a bit in dilemma if I should talk about a specific algorithm or it should be introductory talk or what. Then Niharika said that it can be introductory talk and it's good to share research journey which Priyanka has mostly covered. I think everybody has more or less the same journey. So now I can focus on some of the problems. So this is one of the research area I'm currently working on. So fair and efficient allocation of resources to agents. Okay. So what do we mean by fairness? What are these resources, agents, all those things? We'll talk about it shortly. So I keep switching my area as I find interesting. So this is one of the things I'm currently working on. And whatever I introduce may not sound or is not classically studied as allocation problem, but I will give you analogy. Okay. So let's get started. First of all, what do we care about allocation? Allocation of what and why? Can you say something where you see allocation in the real life? Anything. It's this is not exam. Just whatever you feel like. Okay, this is the allocation I would like. I see in my real life. So what are you allocating? Very good. In some sense, he is trying to divide his time to various courses, right? During the exam. I also had this example in my slides. Very good. Anything else? Huh? Okay. Yes. Sure. Here also he is trying to divide his time. He also needs to study, but also wants to see the match. So how to divide his time? Okay. So let's see a couple of more examples here. So allocation of landing space, right? So it's a allocation problem, right? And here you can see that especially when rescheduling happens because of the delays, right? Then it really becomes crucial how to divide this space for the landing. Okay. Division of inheritance. In case of parents wants to divide their inheritance among kids, right? How should the property money should be divided? In case of divorce settlements, how property and everything should be divided? Company, if the company is getting splitted, then how should be assets should be divided? So here you can see that we need some sense of fairness, right? Because I cannot be biased to maybe one kid, or maybe one kid is taking care of the parents, someone is not doing anything for their parents, right? So what should be a fair way to divide assets, right? Similarly for the lending space, so you can see different applications will different require different kind of fairness. Some might not even require fairness, some may just require some kind of efficiency, and so on and so forth, right? There are more examples. For example, allocation of rooms to the students, hostel rooms to the students, right? uh, at IIT Jodhpur we have a separate room for everyone, but not everywhere, right? You might need to share rooms, right? So how this should be done? Organ transplantation, kidney exchange, right? This is one of the allocation problem which we need to look at, and kidney exchange is area on its own. Okay. So I said couple of problems allocating resources to agents, right? But all the problems are not same in the nature. Yes, there is some sense of allocation involved, but not everything is same. Okay, so let us first try to classify, and then based on that, we might have some similarity, right? According to which we can come up with some kind of fairness notion, some kind of efficiency notions. Okay, so ignore one-sided preferences for now, and let us look at some examples. One famous example is of cake cutting. So there are n kids in the party and you want to distribute cake so that everybody is happy, right? So this cake looks very simple, homogeneous cake, right? Just the size of the cake matters, otherwise the cake is same. But now these days cakes are not that simple, right? They have some toppings. Maybe one cake itself has vanilla, chocolate, different flavors, different toppings, right? And different kids may have different preferences over the toppings, right? So how do we divide so that everyone is happy? Whatever is the measure of happiness, okay? Dividing money among siblings or friends or whatever. Division of time, as he said already. Division of land, right? So, for example, division of land does not only require fairness and efficiency, sometimes it also requires connectivity among the pieces, right? It doesn't make much sense to, allocate one piece of land in South India, one in North India. Usually it doesn't make much sense, right? Dividing rent. Ice cream cones, again fun example like cake, cars, houses, household work. Okay, so now why did I list so many things here? Okay, do you think all these things are similar in nature, or is there any difference between these examples? Similar? Okay, let's see. So there is one difference in the first row and second row. First row, you can see that these resources are divisible in nature. I can cut the cake wherever I want, right? But car I cannot cut and divide, right? It will not be of any use, right? So this is one of the difference between first and second row items. That's first row items are divisible in nature and second are indivisible in nature. Okay. So now I know that items that I'm trying or resources that I'm trying to allocate are of two nature, at least of two nature, right? There is one more difference. For example, car you would like to have, right? How many of you would like to have a car? Suppose ARCS is distributing cars, I guess everybody would like to have. And if we start asking for the volunteer work, okay, volunteer work still people do. Okay, so coming back to household chores, how many of you would like to do? I guess no one. Okay, mostly the answer is no. Exactly, that's the point. So work has to be assigned, but people don't want to do. Okay, so what is the difference between these things? Some things I like, right? I would like to have, and some things I don't want to, but it's a nature of the problem that you need to do, right? So these we call as goods, which you want, you don't want, chores. Okay? For example, rent also nobody wants to pay, but unfortunately you need to split. Okay? So, and these things are not black and white, that things are just divisible, indivisible, goods, chores, because something might be good for me but chores for you, right? So one can study all possible combinations here. Okay, that is the setting of mixed fair division. There are various names, I'm not going into that. Just imagine that it is possible that there is a set of items that needs to be divided. Something is good for everyone, something is chores for everyone. Or it could also be a mixed setting. Something is good for someone, something is a chore for someone, so and so forth. Okay. Okay. Now one thing is common in all these examples. That is, now you can read the first row, title of the slide. So kids do not have a preference who will eat me, right? But kids may have, right? So this is the, you can imagine that this as a two-sided market. One side is agent, other side is resources, right? Resources do not have preferences over the agents, but agents do have preferences over the resources. Okay, so this is the one-sided preferences market. Okay, but that's not the only thing. One can also have two-sided preference market. Okay, for example, course allocation. Okay, here I'm talking about assigning courses to students, not to faculty for teaching. So now you may think that, okay, why courses will have preferences over the students? The students do have, but why courses will have, right? But there are some popular courses, right? Everybody knows what are these popular courses these days. So, but these courses also have some limit, right? A faculty, how many students can he or she teach? 600, it's hard to teach, right? So then we define some cap. And then, some kind of preferences needs to come from the courses side as well. It could be anything, right? Sometimes we are lazy and we just say that, okay, first come, first serve basis, but more natural could be to have some preferences from the course side. Okay, job allocation, employers have preferences over the candidates, and candidates also have, right? And third example looks similar to job allocation only, but there's a reason why I have this. So I would like to convey that in two-sided market also, the resources could be indivisible as well as divisible. Okay. So for example, in the third example, we are mapping employees to supervisors when time is shared. So for example, one needs to work for 9 to 5. Right? Then maybe the time could be divided. Okay, for 2 hours you need to work with so and so supervisor. For 2 hours you work with this supervisor, and so on and so forth. So this particular employee is shared among various supervisors. Okay. So this sharing we can visualize as divisible resources. Okay. Okay. So I have not said anything about the fairness and efficiency notion so far. Currently, I'm just talking about different kind of allocations. Okay. So the allocations that we saw so far does not require any money, right? Cake division does not require any money. Nothing requires money, whatever I said. Or even if it requires money, money is not the primary thing in those allocations. Okay. But there could also be allocation that really require payments, right? For example, advertisement slots, right? So in a newspaper, someone wants to put some ad, right? And then what is the allocation here? It is clear, right? The slots you are allocating to the ads, right? This is the one of the classical example. Now, why the payment is coming up? Advertisers need to pay for their ads, right? Based on the slot they get, whether it's a top, bottom, where, size, etc., etc. Lot of things to consider, right? And not just this, in case of digital marketing as well. So I searched for bicycle and I got this. I'm not sure if you can see, but you can just search. You will also get the same picture if you Google it. Okay. So left hand side that you see is not advertisements, is the Google AdWords algorithm. Okay, this is the ranking. But what you see in the right hand side where sponsored is written, right? Those are the ads. Okay, but in online market, what happens that when someone clicks on the ad, then they pay. Okay, so allocation needs to happen, and then we also need to come up with some payment scheme. Okay, so I am telling you this as a allocation with payments. But all these things have been studied under auction theory. Okay, so if you are interested in knowing more about this, then you need to search for auction, not allocation with payments. You may not find it. Okay. Okay. Other examples are spectrum allocation. Okay. Okay, so we saw two kinds of allocation so far, or three kinds of allocation. Allocation without any money, we looked at one-sided preferences, two-sided preferences, and with payments also we saw, right? Okay, allocation with. So currently, we had agents and items, right? And in this allocation, their opinion matters, right? But this is another example that suppose that city planner has 20 million rupees. I'll talk in terms of our currency. So, and they want to distribute for different projects in the city. Okay. For example, building park, bus stop, anything. And of course, as usual, we don't have enough money to so that we can fund all the projects. Okay. If we have, then there is no complexity. Everything is easy, right? So here, the thing that matters is the opinion of citizens. Okay, so this happens in many countries that voters are asked for their opinion over the projects. 2 minutes. Okay. Sure. So this is studied under the field of participatory budgeting. Okay. And this is not the example I am cooking up. This really happens at many places. Okay, so one of this you can just search for Cambridge participatory budgeting. They do it for 5 years planning, but the algorithm they use is the greedy algorithm, and there are a lot of disadvantages for that. And now because I don't have time, I can't discuss that. Okay, so another example is that where there is nothing like money budgeting, right? But let's say selecting research articles for publication, right? So you want to select some number of papers, then how should that happen, right? So this looks like a selection problem, right? You want to select based on the voter's opinion, right? But this also you can visualize it as an allocation problem because there are, say, case slots that you want to fill, right? These case slots might be similar in nature, or they might have some weightage, etc. Anything one can consider. Once you understand the problem, you can do all hybridized versions of that, right? Okay. So this is studied under committee selection, and I have worked on all these problems. Okay. So fairness and efficiency depends on application. Okay. So I will just quickly introduce one fairness notion. I will not go into much, but if you are interested, I had some open questions because the participants are PhD students. So quickly speaking, in case of indivisible items setting, we have a formally set of agents, set of items, and agents have utility over the set of items, right? And if it is greater than equal to 0, we call it goods. If it is less than equal to 0, we call it chores. Okay, and there could be types of valuation functions which we can ignore for now, and these are the general assumptions. Okay, now what is considered fair? Okay, let's just go over quickly in this toy example. There are 3 agents or 3 friends, Bob, Alice, David, and 4 items to distribute, and these are their valuations. So for example, Bob values ice cream as 10, right? Do you think this allocation is fair? Quickly, we don't have time. Okay, do you think it's unfair? Is unfair? Why? Bob can have donut and? Okay, that's right. That way, but then Alice, okay, maybe we can discuss it later. But one of the fairness notion is that everybody is getting 1 by nth fraction of the total utility they have over the items. Here n is the number of agents. Okay, this is called the proportionality fairness, one of the simplest fairness criteria. Okay, in case of divisible setting, we can find an allocation which is proportional, but when we go to indivisible setting, Such an allocation may not exist. Complexity is also NP hard. Uh, I'm running out of time, so maybe it's better to skip, right? In the interest of time. So let me directly go to my research journey. Priyanka has again already covered, so I will not say much, but just one thing, a couple of things that are. See, there are a lot of open questions. If you want, you can ask me later. Okay. So my journey started from Diyalbagh Educational Institute. So I did my BSc there, I did my MSc there, and then I had offer from Kiel University, Germany, for PhD. But then, due to some personal reasons, I decided to stay back. And I was again not very sure what I want to do. But due to my courses, I knew that I want to do some kind of algorithms related to graphs. This much only I knew. Okay, so then, and in algorithms, because we saw that lot of problems are NP hard. So, and at that point of time, I already only knew about approximation algorithms to deal with NP hard problems, right? So I thought, okay, I will do something related to that. So we started solving optimization problems, and we started with heuristics. Okay, so and then, but approximation algorithms didn't happen in my PhD. This is the main thing I wanted to share. So, and we were designing heuristics, meta heuristics, like you might have heard about genetic algorithm, evolutionary algorithms, mimetic algorithms. So I was doing that kind of stuff. I was always curious about proving the theoretical guarantees, right? So algorithms, heuristics that we were designing were polynomial in nature, but when you do meta heuristics, then there is no guarantee when it terminates. Okay, so then after my PhD, again due to my interest in theoretical computer science, I started looking for the postdoc positions in theory, right? In particular to approximation algorithms. So I was looking for various positions, and then suddenly one day, after almost 6 months, Saket wrote me that, are you still looking for the postdoc position? So that's how, that position was a game changer for me. Okay. And then there is a lot to share, but again, due to interest of time, I will not say much. Just one point I would like to share, that never be afraid of doing things that you want to do. Okay. Because I was not doing theory, and I was told that, after doing PhD, it is very hard that you suddenly change your research area. Okay. But your mentors really do play a role. Saket told me that you consider this as your second PhD. I will guide you as my PhD students. And of course, like Priyanka said, I was also had this thing, okay, I'm not doing well, because of course people who are already doing PhD at IMSC were much more smarter than me. So, but yes, my PhD advisor told me one thing, that, you are capable of learning things on your own. But what you are learning from Saket is how to do research. Okay, and that is, I did not realize at that point of time that what is the meaning of how to do research. I mean, that I will just think one can do it, yeah, right? When you know the research area. But you learn those things when you work with someone, that how to think about the problems, how to approach the problems, many things one can learn. Okay, and I think I should stop here. Thank you so much.